Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharon Stroy. I am the director in the School of Public Affairs and Administration, and I would like to welcome you all to our first professional development session with our alumni for the SPAA Ambassador Program. The SPAA Ambassador Program is a one-year multi-level leadership development program to allow our awesome SPAA students to become leaders and voice at the table for the future and the vision of the School of Public Affairs Administration. One of the benefits of being a SPAA ambassador is that they have an opportunity to network with alumni and professionals in a more intimate setting, and to gain information, knowledge, and wisdom from the SPAA alumni. For the fall 2021 semester, our first speaker for this professional development series is Ogonna Anonyuo. Ogonna manages the timely development and technical execution of high-quality, innovative delivery systems, technology solutions, and special project initiatives worldwide based on consumer needs and marketing objectives for categories within the CARES capsule Pharmacy Corporation. Through cross-functional team collaboration, she harmonizes and executes launches for new projects and plans, contributing to building a pipeline of brand innovation, and actively participates in various corporate initiatives relating to strategy, sustainability, and improved efficiency. As an additional initiative, Ogonna has created an employee resource group to support, encourage, and engage women across the company to reach their full potential to emerge as true leaders, both personally and professionally. Ogonna holds an outstanding 45 service and performance awards from Enterprise Holdings, Inc. She was selected as Innovator and Disruptor Award recipient in the sales category by Enterprise in 2019, a Diversity Leader honoree in 2020, the Imo State Nigeria Government in America Association, and has been featured in several publications for her community outreach. Ms. Ogonna owns a bachelor's degree in public and nonprofit administration from Rutgers University Newark School of Public Affairs and Administration. She also holds various executive board positions in several industry organizations, including the Young Black Sales Professionals. Ogonna values the importance of paying her efforts forward by volunteering her time to several organizations, including the Rochas Foundation in Nigeria, Nigeria Women's Maternity Hospital in Ogonna, Nigeria, and her sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. It has been my pleasure to at one time serve as Ogonna's assistant dean while I was in the undergraduate program, and all of her family and friends favorably call her OG. It is my pleasure to introduce Ogonna Anonyuo.
Wow, thank you so much. That was, felt like Beyonce's coming out here. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for spending your Friday evening talking to me. Please forgive me, I do have two monitors, so I'm looking at you this way. Yes, I think I was super excited to speak with you all today because one thing that actually stuck out to me is when I was going to Rutgers, we didn't have the ambassador program, because I know 9 times out of 10, I would have wanted to be a part of it because I was an extreme advocate for SPAA. I loved it so much because it literally shaped how I am today. I believe it was one of the best degrees to have, although I didn't tell people what my major was, for the reason being was because I didn't want people to steal Director Stroy's time from me. But eventually people found out what my major was. And I believed it was the best degree to have, honestly, because it was so versatile. With the SPAA degree, you have the versatility that companies want and need today. I mean, I can tell you, I work with pharmacists who know everything about how a medication works, what the effects on the body, mixing the medications, but they have no leadership qualities. They don't know how to even read a business plan. They don't know what goes into putting a team together. And then it leaves companies like, okay, well, should we take this person that has all the education, or should we take this person who has the education but is multifaceted? It's just like when you were first applying to school. When you first apply to school, colleges are, back then it was, you need to have a 4.0. Now it's, you need to have a 4.0. You need to play a sport. You need to have extracurriculars. That's what companies are looking for. It doesn't change no matter where you go. It continues. So that's why having the SPAA degree is one of the best things to have. And I treasure it the most because it's cultivated leadership qualities that I use today. I learned in SPAA what Y equals MX plus B, but I also learn how to implement it in my everyday life. My experience taught me how to address challenges, do what others thought was impossible, evaluate issues facing the public sector, things that people would oversee or not even think about, and reflect on strengths and weaknesses that, emerging public administrators would have, or the public sector would have. These are things that my colleagues never thought about, even it never crossed their mind. And I was always the one raising my hand in every meeting, like, okay, well, what about this? What about this? How about we look at it from this angle? During my tenure at SPAA, I lost my grandmother. I lost a professor, worked through Hurricane Sandy. I played volleyball. I joined the sorority. I took on an internship. I consistently disturb, direct, destroy at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I just had no idea that everything was really just going to help me shape my career. Everything that I experienced within SPAA was the best, I could say. Good or bad, it was one of the best experiences that I can ever have. So kudos to you all for, being selected for this ambassador program, because it's honestly one of the best decisions that you could have ever made. SPAA is actually, I could go on and on. I have so many friends that have actually majored in other things. I have friends that were in Rutgers Business School that came back and did their master's in SPAA because they needed more. They didn't just need to know how to read a business plan. They needed to know how to be a leader. And that's what I believe the SPAA, promotes. But working within, I want to say, SPAA taught me how to be, I don't know how to explain it. It taught me how to be, versatile, but it taught me how to be strong and react very fast to any situation that's been thrown at me. Obviously with COVID, it was probably one of the hardest and most difficult things that anyone has ever experienced. Talk less to me. I will be quite honest. Pre-COVID, I was living my life. Life was great. Life was good. I was enjoying myself. I love my workplace. I love my employees. I got married. I was making in my best month over $15,000 per paycheck. Everything was great. I was hosting company happy hours for my employees. I was selected for the Women's Empowerment Network, diversity leader. I was the #1 branch manager in the region. My employees were getting promoted. They were just so efficient. Everybody was good. But then this was me working at Enterprise Holdings. And if you're not familiar with Enterprise Holdings, this is actually Enterprise Rent-A-Car, National Rent-A-Car in Alamo. The transportation industry was hit so hard. Nobody was going anywhere. Everybody was home. So what do you need a rental car if you're home? So we were hit extremely hard, and our business was based off of the numbers where we need customers to make our business. So we were hit extremely hard, and we were also considered, we were salary employees, but our numbers are actually based off of the prior year's performance. So when COVID hit, initially, like many people, I didn't take it too serious. I actually just, it didn't directly affect me. I saw it in the news. I saw us, losing a little bit of, people in cars, but I said, it's fine. It's not going to be that bad. I thought it was going to be like the Ebola outbreak. I didn't think it was going to really shut down. I never thought America would ever shut down. And then they started to shut down locations. And, during that time, it was still fine. My location was still open. I had a very big location. I oversaw Essex County, part of Hudson County. So I was actually perfectly okay. But then, we got another call from St. Louis, our headquarters, saying, okay, we gotta shut down some more branches. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So how is everybody going to be now working out of one location? Because we were all working now out of the McCarter Highway location in Newark. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, this is a very smaller branch, but we're going to make it work. Then the next week they call us and say, hey, we got to let go of 65% of the staff. That means all your cleaning staff is gone, all your part-timers are gone, and you need to make a decision as to who you're going to keep and who you're not going to keep. We need to keep top performers. At that point, I think it still didn't hit me. I was still in turbo mode. I'm like, all right, I still got to be positive. I have to be that energetic person, because one thing I learned in SPAA was grit and to be strong no matter what the situation is. So I kept going. I'm like, okay, all right, everyone. We're going to be positive. We're going to keep whoever's here. We're going to keep pushing. We laid off the 65 people. So I went from having maybe 10 to 12 staff members to having about 4. So my workload quadrupled, but again, staying positive. At that point, it wasn't about me. I thought, let me be there for my team, because I'm only as strong as my weakest employee. And I wanted my team to come out of this very strong, because you never know what's going on. So my team they were still pumping. They kept doing everything. They were still trying to provide the numbers, customer service. We were trying very hard. And then one day, while I was home, and I'm never home during that time, my manager decided, hey, OG, you're doing great. We're going to give some of the managers a week off so you guys can just regroup and have a second. During that week, everything was good. It was about Thursday afternoon. My husband was home. He starts coughing, and it turns out he's actually having a stroke. And he was having a stroke as a reaction to contracting COVID. And he caught it at work, and he had no idea. He was in New York working with a client, and he had no idea. He got terribly sick, and he refused at that time to go to the hospital. And because he felt like he was going to contract it from going to the hospital. So he thought, okay, I'll take all these vitamin C, all these things, and I'll be fine. So he got a little better, but ultimately he ended up having a stroke. At that point, that's when actually I felt like COVID had hit me. It wasn't me physically, but it hit me mentally. Because at that point, everything stopped for me. I wasn't thinking about work. I didn't think about anything else. I was focused on him. And at that time, it was April. You couldn't go into the hospital. It was just one person can't ride in the hospital. You have to rely on phone calls. It was terrible. Nobody knew what was going on. Luckily, they were able to give him, TPA. He was fine within 45 minutes. They got him to the hospital, gave him the medicine. And about 5 days later, he walked out of the hospital. If you see him today, you would not know anything was wrong with him. He's young. He was 35 at the time. So it was just a wake-up call for me. But at that same time, I still had to work. That was Thursday. I was supposed to go back to work on Monday. And what did I do? Me being OG and me having that grit that I always talk about that I learned in SPAA, I went back to work. He wasn't home yet, so I was going to go to work to keep my mind off of things and keep giving it 110%, being there for my employees. And I continued to do that. And they thought, okay, well, if she can come after her husband suffers a stroke, then okay, I can do my part and be here and help her out at work. And so it worked. The plan was to make sure that my employees saw that I was able to work through any adversity, and they just followed suit. But then again, I was in turbo mode. Things weren't getting to me, but I still kept working and, just going through the motions at this point. Then we lost one of our colleagues, and he was with us at work on Friday, and then Sunday he passed away. And ultimately it was from congestive lung, but because of COVID, he wasn't able to get to a hospital in time. So at that point, everything just kind of stopped for me. I realized like, hey, I have to breathe. I felt like I was overworked at this point. I was working 70 hours a week. I wasn't taking a lunch. I was doing anything and everything for my team. If my team needed a day off, I knew that they needed that day off. If a customer needed a pickup and we were on the Carter Highway and they needed a pickup in Belleville or Kearney or East Orange, we were going to assemble a team to go get them and make sure that everybody was okay. But after my colleague passed away, I had to take a step back. I realized that I was overworked, I was tired, and I was just going through the motions. My heart wasn't in it. And once your heart isn't in something, you have to realize that your quality of work is not going to be there. Like the quality is just not going to be there. So at that moment, I realized I had to make a decision for myself. And at that, I just needed to maintain my brand because everybody knew OG at Enterprise as this top performer. I never missed. My employees loved me. Everyone wanted to work with me, work for me. My managers they left me alone because they knew that I could do their jobs. And so I said I needed to leave at this point while they remembered my brand was still great and go into something that actually my heart was in. Because if my heart, like I said earlier, my heart wasn't in it at that point. So I then left. To be the best way to put it, I left Enterprise Holdings. So now I had to start from the ground up. None of these new places I was applying to, because I really wanted to actually help with COVID, because I wanted to be like a crusader. I wanted to make sure everyone knew how the effects of COVID, what it could do, because people, being quite honest, people did not take it serious. There was all on social media, there were all the jokes, the memes about COVID, but people did not take it serious because I was one of those people that was making jokes. So I wanted to be one of those people that was an advocate, like, hey, this is COVID. I wanted to make a difference in someone's life. So I had to start from the ground up and I'm like, okay, I want to go into healthcare. But then I realized, I said, okay, I'm looking at the qualifications. Oh, you need a master's. Oh, okay, well, you need a nursing degree or background in this, a background in that. And I'm like, okay, well, I have a SPAA degree. I can do everything else. It's just only thing that I'm missing on these qualifications is probably, one class in nursing or a bio class or something of that nature. So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I have to figure out, because nobody knew the OG, the superstar from Enterprise. I had to really figure out a way to convey and promote myself in a way that illustrated my successes, which I was able to successfully do because I then was able to land a job at Capsule Corporation. Capsule actually, being quite frank, Capsule asked for someone who was well-versed in healthcare sector. And I was actually well-versed in the healthcare sector. My first job was in a nursing home working with Alzheimer patients. But because of I just remember it from my leadership of the service professionals class with Philanda Nixon, I needed to know how to draw their minds away from me not having that one qualification and bring their attention to all the other qualifications that I had. And that's what I was able to successfully do. I was able to land a 6-figure position as a pharmacy operations manager at Capsule. And those are the tools that I learned there in the leadership of the service professionals class helped shape me. I didn't have to be the smartest person. I just needed to be the one to convey the message, like, why would we not choose her? And all of that is what I learned while studying at Rutgers. So I always say that you always need to leave the lasting impression. Like, don't let it get to you. Don't let it be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I don't, just because I just have a bachelor's or I have a master's, but this person has a PhD or a doctorate. Don't let that get to you. The best person for the job is the person that can convey that they can do the job efficiently. And that's what I did. That was the feedback that I asked for. I asked what was my feedback from that. After every interview, I did 6 interviews. After each interview, I asked for the job, but I also asked, was there any feedback? They said, no, you conveyed everything. You left me speechless. And that's what I always wanted to do. So my tips for you guys is you need to always, the ability to self-promote is critical for your success, as well as your career advancement. Let's just be quite honest. It's a key skill. The key skill is the ability to tell your story, make a connection, and discuss qualities with ease, enthusiasm, and clarity. That's always going to be number one. Ease, enthusiasm, clarity. The more that they can feel like you're a relatable person, that's who they're going to go with. I can tell you right now, I've interviewed about 30 pharmacists in the past 2 weeks, and they have zero enthusiasm. They know what they're talking about, and I'm very, very confident that yes, on paper, they can probably do the job. However, I need what you need in my business in today's society is you need someone that's going to be empathetic. You need someone that's able to be enthusiastic with the patient or an individual, someone that just has a heart. And those are qualities that you learn while in SPAA. The reality is also that we all have the ability to advocate for ourselves. We just manifest it in different ways without even realizing it. Something as simple as like placing an order for food or clothes is a form of advocacy, if you think about it, because you're stating to another party what you need and what you want. So that confidence that you have when you're, saying, hey, you're at McDonald's saying, hey, can I get a number 2? You know exactly what you want, and you're letting that individual know that's what I want. That's the same confidence you need to have when you're looking into another position or looking to advance your career. The 2 main things that helped me build my confidence and get more comfortable was 1, connecting my passion with my purpose. My passion is knowledge and awareness. And if you ask anyone who knows me, I love to know the information, and I like to be aware of all the things that could hinder me or anything like that. So I do my research a lot. So my passion is always going to be the knowledge and awareness, whether it's for myself, whether it's for others. My purpose is to leverage my passion to deliver results, whether it's through my professional, community, or my personal responsibilities. Passion has to deliver results. You can be motivated, but it needs to deliver results, because let's be quite honest, if I can talk about it, but you always have to be about it. And my second thing was, I always had a clear understanding. This is something I learned in the leadership of service professional, was the pie theory. The pie theory is how you grow your career. 10% of that is your performance. That's your skills. That's what you bring to the table, your experience. 30% of it is your image. And let's be frank, it's the executive presence, your communication, your professionalism, mainly what people think of you. It's your perception versus reality. But the 60% of it, and this is the biggest part, is your exposure. It's about who knows you and what you do. This is where having the right people advocate for you becomes critical. And they don't always have to be a senior leader. I just want to make that very clear. I was very close with my car washers, and I'm close with anybody like the janitors to the senior vice presidents. Everybody is who I make sure that everybody knows my name, because you never know who's in what room. And a simple conversation can catapult your career dramatically. And that's what happened for me. It was an intern at Enterprise that actually said, hey, there's this girl, OG, that works in Scotch Plains. And I think she's great for this program, the fast track program at the airport. And HR said, okay, let's look into me. And then boom, next minute I was there and I was delivering results. But advocacy happens at all levels, both internally and externally. So don't undervalue any relationship. I also believe that you should always be vocal. Don't assume people know what you do. If someone told me that, hey, this person's a pharmacist, you would just assume this person, okay, they're a pharmacist, they work at Walgreens. No, I have friends that are pharmacists that work in clinical research. They do other things. They're teachers. There's so many other things, but you have to be vocal. I always tell them you have to be vocal, because when someone says a pharmacist, their first go-to is Walgreens or CVS or something. Don't assume people know what you do. But when you're presenting yourself and always highlight your accomplishment in a way that it's not just about you. I always made sure that when I said, hey, I was a top performer, I highlighted that it was also my team. I couldn't do it without my team. I couldn't do it without the knowledge I gained from Rutgers. I couldn't do it without Director Stroh. I couldn't do it without, Professor Petrowski. I couldn't do it without these people, because it takes, sometimes the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It's very, very true. It's about what you've actually contributed. It's the best way for people to know you and respect your work. Respect goes a long way. If you respect others, respect is going to be given back to you. Start by making sure you always have a mentor. Tell everybody this. A mentor always advises you. A mentor you seek out, and always have a sponsor as well. I have a mentor, but I also have a sponsor. My mentor does advise me, but my sponsor advocates for you. Mentor you seek out, but a sponsor advocates for you. So they will seek and advocate for you because they believe in your success, but you have to be able to convey that. Remember, you are a brand. As a brand, you need to create your own vision and mission statement. And if you don't already have one, make it a part of your everyday life. You should always have like a tagline. There is the TV show Girlfriends. There was the realtor, Tony Childs. She's like, my name is Tony Childs and I specialize in results. That was her tagline. No matter what it was, you remembered her tagline, I specialize in results. So I used that. I remember I walked into an interview and I said, well, my name is OG and you're going to hire me because why? I specialize in results. And the guy he never saw Girlfriends, so he didn't know. So he was just like, oh, okay. So I grabbed his attention from just starting out. Or I think the most recent one I use now is, my name is OG and either I win or I learn, but I'm never going to lose. That's the confidence you want to convey. So you're conveying your confidence, you're conveying your capabilities, and you're conveying that you're humble, but you're eager. And then also, lastly, one thing I learned, the best thing that I could have taken away from SPAA is, don't wait to be given the power you already have. I think that's the biggest thing I learned. My first class in SPAA was, just don't wait to be given the power. You got to go out there and take it. Whether it was learning from my service learning internship, and I did that internship at 13th Avenue School in Newark, where I thought that maybe I could try and be a teacher. It was a failed attempt, but I mean, I did learn that teaching is very hard, but I also learned that I am capable of doing anything. If I can do this, I can do that. If you can sit through, I think I want to say maybe 50 interviews and not realize that there's a single person in that interview that has the capabilities of doing the job, you can do anything. Don't ever let anything hold you back. And that's the biggest takeaway I want to give you guys today. Your power is the biggest thing that you own, and your brand is the biggest thing that you own. So always invest in yourself, invest in your brand, and it'll take you so much further, but just always have the confidence in yourself. And to me, this being an SPAA ambassador means that you have the confidence and you guys already know your capabilities and your power. So ball's already in your court. You just need to literally take it to the hoop. And that's all I got for you guys today. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, wait. Oh, wow, so many. Okay. I think.
I see Glenae's hand go up first, and then Chastity, and then Samantha. So Glenae, Chastity, Samantha, go.
Hi, my name is Glenae. Is it okay if I refer to you as OG?
Yes, I would prefer it.
Okay. I just wanted to know, when you made that transition from your old job where you kind of were like the face of it to something that was kind of new for you, how are you able to market all the experience that you have? Because I know for me, I do a lot of things and I have done a lot of things in leadership roles. However, sometimes when I'm in interviews, it feels as though I'm not able to properly articulate all the work that I have done and all the experience that I do have. So how are you able to articulate yourself in those situations?
I always talk about, like I said, I always talk about that leadership of service professionals with Fernanda Nixon, because she had us literally practice it. What you actually need to do is focus on, I literally wrote it down at first. I wrote down my successes from each job, well, each position that I had, because I was a management trainee, and then I was an assistant, and then I was a manager. I wrote down each one of my accomplishments that I had there. I then practiced it. So I was in the mirror like, okay, a lot of these things are similar. So what do all of these things have in common? Oh, all of the things that I wrote down show that I'm detail oriented. I am a strict person on time. I focus on results. I'm always the person to follow up. And that's what I convey. They don't actually have to, you can also say like, oh yes, at this position, I was the number one, I was employee of the month. But what did being employee of the month entail? You want to just say what it actually entailed. Like if you were, the president of SGA, okay, that's great. But what does the president of SGA do? Focus on that and then say what that is. So if you're president of SGA, I'm able to be a leader for 5,000 students, or I was able to be a leader, period, to anyone that are a diverse group. That's what you convey. And you have to say it with distinction. And that's what I always did. I said, hey, I had number one, I did this. I just focused on, I was able to lead a team. I was able to produce results in this time frame. In 6 months, I was able to bring it from here to here. I didn't focus too much on the exact details, because you're going to spend more time explaining those details than just getting straight to the point. Everybody's attention span is not as great. And I can tell you, I sit in interviews all the time, and people are trying to articulate what they're trying to say. And I'm just like, I want you to say what you really mean. So what you're trying to say is, okay, that you can do this and you have done this before. So that's what you just need to do. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think it did. So essentially, like, just break down your experiences and analyze the significance of it and keep it direct and to the point.
Yes, always be direct to the point. Just break down the experiences. Just pick out if it's multiple things, just pick out what the commonalities are, and then just focus on that.
Thank you.
No problem. I think it was Chastity.
Hi, good evening, OG. My name is Chastity. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
First, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story, because I found it very relatable. My question was in regards to you mentioning a sponsor. So I do have a mentor. I guess I kind of stumbled across her in a way. We used to work together, and at the time, her organization was actually kind of doing mentorship. So because we had so much in common, she was just like, hey, like, how would you feel if I mentored you? But this is the first time that I've heard of having a sponsor. So how would you go about getting one? Or what would be the difference between having a mentor and a sponsor?
Well, I think the biggest difference is a mentor advises you and a sponsor advocates for you, if it makes sense. So a mentor is someone you're going to call, this is what's happened in my day. They're going to give you advice on how to proceed. Whereas a sponsor is putting your name in rooms that you've never even walked in. They're the ones they're like, I had my mentor was, for instance, my sister is vice president at State Lauder. She's actually my sponsor, not my mentor. My mentor is actually, my old area manager. He advises me on how to handle day-to-day situations. Whereas my sister, who's my sponsor, she's a VP, she advocates for me. So she knows what I wanted to do in my career. So she was the one who kind of got my name indoors before I even thought about it. So people were actually contacting me because they were out there advocating for you. I hope that answered your question.
It does. Do you think it's possible that your mentor can be both your mentor and your sponsor? Okay.
110%, but you need to convey that clearly to them. I also I asked my sister simply, hey, I want you to advise me, but I also want you to advocate for me. And she said, well, I can't do both because I don't really have the time to do both. I can't hear your problems and try to, help you out and get you a job. But she said, I said, okay, be my sponsor, advocate for me. But sometimes the person, as long as the person has the bandwidth, but make it clear that that's what you want them to do. It's, there's no hurt in asking, hey, can you be my mentor? And by being my mentor, I want you to help, be able to give me advice when I need it. But I also want you to advocate for me, no matter where it is, just throw my name in the conversation, because you never know. They can be somebody, they can be having a conversation at the supermarket and they're like, oh, I know someone who's great. And then they bring your name up.
Thank you.
Samantha and then Jamie.
Hi, I'm Samantha. My name isn't Wild Fig Partners. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah, I
on
was gonna say
work
that.
my account. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Your story's been amazing. I've actually had the same question as Chastity. Do you think that you'd be doing yourself a disservice by having both a mentor and sponsor as the same? Because I feel like that's kind of what I have now, but I feel like it's not, I shouldn't go and seek out someone else because this relationship kind of like developed very organically.
The thing is, I don't want everybody to believe that you can only just have one sponsor or one advocate or one, you don't have to just have one. If that's what's comfortable for you, it doesn't have to be separate. Let me make myself clear. It doesn't have to be separate. It's great if it is. It's great if it's not. It's whatever is comfortable for you. Everybody's story is different and everybody's comfortable. Like if you're comfortable with this one individual and they're doing both things for you and you've conveyed that message and it's working, keep it that way. But if you also want other sponsors in different sectors, you can do that too. If you want to have a different mentor for different things, like for, if you want to have a mentor for your hobbies, then you can have that as well. Don't always just think you have to have one. It needs to be one person and one person. I have different mentors for different things, different sponsors for different things. I just make sure that across the board, I'm consistent with what I want and what I need from them. That's the biggest part. As long as they're doing doing exactly what you need them to do, it's perfectly okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Jane.
Hi, good evening, OG. How's it going?
Hi, it's going good.
It's going good. My question would be, and this is actually something that I'm trying to figure out as to how I can, I guess, improve. I feel that I come across a lot of people from different walks of life in my profession. Even at my old institution, I was involved. I was literally in everything possible in terms of like different leadership roles. I've had different mentors, as the years go by. But my biggest thing or my biggest weakness, and I must admit, is not keeping those connections alive, right? Like how exactly would I go about that as someone who's constantly busy working, multiple jobs, different curriculars, full-time student? How do we keep those very important connections alive? And at the same time, not just alive, but like genuine, right? Not just make it about, oh, let me just go to this person because I need something from them, right? It should be more, I feel like it should be more fruitful. So that way we could keep that connection as genuine and alive as possible. So what are some ways in which I could, or that you would suggest that I could do that?
I think that's actually a great question. And I won't even lie to you. While I was working at Enterprise, I struggled with it because I was so busy. I told you guys I was working 70 hours. But what I had to stop and realize is I'm not a machine, right? So I had to start planning out my day. I had a planner. I started going, okay, by, every 2 weeks, I needed to stop and make personal time. I had to literally map out personal time. In that personal time, I then realized I was going to reach out to people. So if I was going to plan a lunch date or, whether it's a Zoom call, to make it genuine, it just doesn't, you don't have to constantly text someone, right? Because they'll know that it's not genuine. My mentor always tells me that. They're like, oh, no, don't text me because they're busy people. So what I did was actually take time and go to lunch with these people. And I think that's what worked for me. That was my suggestion. Like, that's what someone told me, make time to actually physically go. So I didn't stop at just having a phone call I actually made myself go so that way they can see that I was engaged. I think it's a little different nowadays because of COVID, everything is virtual. So everybody wants to talk on the phone. But for me, as busy as I was, I needed to be in front of the person so that way we can look face to face and they can help me, like, we could write it out together. I needed that, like, something tangible. So that way they knew that it was genuine. And I could actually say during that time, like, hey, I always wanted to, I always want to talk to you some other days, but, I'm just so busy. So that they know moving forward, it's not like, if I do text them, it's not just me saying, oh, hey, what's up? It's just me, like, trying to make a conscious effort. And they would in turn check on me. They're not going to know that you're too busy or you're running up and down unless you say something. And that's why when I used to make those actual physical work lunches or, physical meetings, they appreciated it because they're taking time out, they're taking their time out and I'm taking my time out to meet with them. And I always conveyed that I was appreciative. So my suggestion would be actually going to meet with the people. As busy as you are, you do have some time. You make time for the things that you want to make time for. So make a conscious effort for them and they'll do it for you. Because when your back's against the wall, those are the people that are going to sit there and be like, hey, I know you're busy. Let me step in for you. Tag me in. They got you. So that's why you want to always try to make that time.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
No problem.
What other questions do you have?
I did have another question, actually. It was
Okay.
a question that I had in the very beginning when I was more so trying, like, understanding the kind of like line of work or the profession or industry that you're in. How is it, what are some of the challenges that, I guess, having a SPA background, right? A master's in public administration, but also working with people in sectors that are private, right? So your interests might be very opposite from, those within the private sector. So what are some of the challenges that you've experienced and how did you overcome those challenges when your interests, the same people you work with, might have opposing interests? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I actually had a lot of those challenges more so at Enterprise than at Capsule, because Capsule I'm helping people. So I call it the Uber Eats of the pharmacy world, right? So I think it's a great thing. It's innovative. It's just what we need today. So I want to say 98% of the time, I agree with everything that Capsule has to say. However, at Enterprise, it was a completely different ballgame. There were things I did not agree with. A lot of things my ideals did not agree with. And I was very vocal about it, to be quite honest. I was, there were certain rules that we had for certain areas. So whereas like in Newark, they had certain rules, right? Whereas in Summit, New Jersey, they didn't have those rules. And I didn't like that. So because I didn't like that, I said something about it and I explained myself in a very articulate way. I literally would like type it up on, I would make like a whole PowerPoint if I had to. I would type it up and say, these are the reasons why this does not work. And these are why, like, I would get feedback. I'm like, hey guys, do you think this works? Ask my employees, do you think this works? Why doesn't it work? What are some pushbacks that you get? And I at first I was just going in, and this is me literally going to my direct manager and I'm like, hey, just want you to know I don't agree with this. And he would say, okay, well, why? And I'd bring out a whole sheet of paper, like, okay, these are the reasons why these things don't work. And I'm going to tell you, we can have a meeting and sit down and I can explain why these things don't work. And if you want, I can send you an email to follow up as to why I believe these things don't work. Let's have a conversation. And I won't even lie to you, it did get across. They didn't change 110%. They did make a conscious effort, but they knew at that point that there were certain things I was going to tolerate and things I was not going to tolerate. And it made them more conscious because sometimes the company is just not conscious. As a company, sometimes their job is just to make money. And me, I joined SPAA because I wanted to help. I wanted to help people in a different way. I didn't just want to help people as a doctor or a lawyer. I wanted to be versatile and help people in any way, shape, or form. And that's what I always use. So I had to realize, like, anything you're gonna say or you're gonna bring up, you need to have stuff to back it up. And that's what one of my mentors taught me. Have everything to back it up, and then be prepared to say, like, be able to really articulate why you don't think it's gonna work, and then come up with a solution. Don't just bring them all these problems, come up with a solution. Well, if this doesn't work, why don't we try it this way? And if by us trying it this way, we can get X, Y, and Z as results. And they're like, oh, okay. Because you're not giving them homework. You're kind of saying, hey, I did the work for you. I just need you to implement it. Hope that hurts.
Awesome. Thank you.
Lene,
Hi, OG. I realized I didn't thank you for speaking to us because I really valued your I really valued your life experiences and your professional experience. I wanted to know, how did you balance or manage, for lack of better words, your emotional stability when, as a professional, when your your husband had a stroke, because that's a very hard thing to do in a leadership position, and not relay that onto your subordinates in a negative way.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't handle it very well. Being quite frank, I cried at least 10 times a day because I didn't know, you in that situation at that time, I felt very helpless because I couldn't go in the hospital, couldn't be there, but I also had to be there for my team. So what I actually started to do was I let it all out. And then I actually sought help. I went to speak to a therapist, and I remember my manager telling me, hey, do you really think you need to talk to a therapist? And I'm like, are you going through the things or am I going through the things? And he's like, you could just talk to me. I'm like, no. Because if you wanted to talk to me, you would have talked to me when it happened, not now that you see that I'm kind of struggling. The way I actually did, I had to vent. You can't hold it all in. And that was a big problem that I had. I was always on turbo. I was always on 10. I was always moving around, but I just had to realize to stop and talk to someone, let it all out. Whether you're not a machine, you have to let it out some type of way, whether it's by you writing it, channeling it into something else. For me, it was talking about it to someone and someone giving me direct and caring feedback and telling me that it was okay. And that was the only way I was able to then get up the next day and say, okay, I'm going to leave all my problems, everything that happened yesterday, I'm going to leave it yesterday, and we're going to start today fresh. And that's how I was able to do it for my employees. My employees were going through things. They were losing people because of COVID as well. So I didn't want to bring my problems to them. I wanted to be the pillar of strength for them. So in order for me to be strong for them, I needed to be strong for myself.
Thank you.
so as we're getting down to our time, I have one last question for you, OG. Right now, you're currently in the process of hiring people. Well, actually, it's two questions. What position are you hiring for? And what are you looking for in skill set for those people who are getting ready to work for you?
So yes, I'm hiring now. We're hiring roughly about 40 people a week, very aggressive. We're hiring for customer experience agents, pharmacists, and the care team. All of these roles we're hiring, the first thing that I look for is someone that's compassionate and empathetic. I need someone that can directly relate to a patient if they have to, an individual. I just don't need a robot. I need someone that can handle juggling multiple things at a time. I don't want just someone that's, hey, I can do this or I can do that. I have 75 degrees, but doesn't know how to talk to a person. I don't need that person. I need that person that knows, oh yes, I have this degree, but I also know how to articulate myself by saying, I can help a customer. I can look up how to assist this customer, and I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm looking for those type of people, those people that we say we need someone with grit. It's the biggest thing that we always say. We want someone that's a self-motivator, that's ready to tag them, jump in, a self-starter, detail-oriented, and is just extraordinarily that thinks outside of the box. If we have a method, that does not work. We like those people that come with the fresh and ready ideas, saying, hey, have you guys tried to do it this way? And by trying to do it this way, you might cut your costs in half. Those are the type of people we're looking for. So we're not just looking for the, someone that has a financial background or any background. We're looking, anybody can actually apply. We want someone that just knows how to execute and articulate to complete the job.
So I will be following up on the opportunity for SPAA students to apply for those positions real soon.
Yes, and we're all over. We're not just in New Jersey, New York. We have offices in Houston, California, LA, Nashville. I just came back from Houston. We have offices everywhere. So, and it's 100% remote. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It's 100% remote right now.
I don't know. I think I may have to apply.
It's 100% remote. I won't even lie to you. That's a little bit of a blessing, but I was in Mexico on a business call and they were like, okay, no problem. I mean, it's the best thing. I won't even lie to you. That's why my background is like this, because I miss Mexico. Honestly, I really do.
So it has been my pleasure. We want to thank you, OG, for coming back and always being willing to talk to the students about your SPAA experiences. And for you to understand, her degree is an undergraduate degree in public and nonprofit administration. Her master's degree will be in public health. And so what we're saying is that even an undergraduate degree, if you apply the skills and do the work that is needed, anything is possible. So SPAA ambassadors, give Ogonna a great hand clap. Thank you, OG.
It's been a pleasure. Feel free to contact me with any more questions as you may see fit. I'm always available. And yes, it's been a pleasure. I'm so excited to see what you guys do with your degrees.